Valve Steam Deck, is it worth the hype? Well, in this video I'm going to attempt to answer that, at least from the point of view of a middle-aged man who's 40 years old, and basically letting you guys know what I think about the Steam Deck. Do you have to believe the hype, and is it something that you need in your life? Now, if you listen to the many voices that have spoken about the Steam Deck, I wouldn't blame you for walking away with the impression that this device elevates gaming to a new level that we've never seen before. But I'm here to tell you it doesn't. Now, slow your roll. Don't go clicking off the video, don't go smashing the dislike button, because I'm not here to dump on the Steam Deck. I'm actually here to tell you what makes the Steam Deck great and what makes me personally call this my favourite way to now play games. Now, as I stated at the start of the video, I'm an older dude now, 40-year-old, I've got a wife, I've got 2 kids, and the thing that seems to evade me more in life than anything else is time. As I've got older, I've realised I have less time to sit down and play games the way that I once used to. Living in a busy household, you have things like kids wanting to use the TV, your wife wants to watch the new movie on Netflix or the new TV show, and you guys might not be the same as me, but I feel slightly ignorant taking myself away into another room to sit in front of a TV and play a console, or sit downstairs on my PC and play games in a different room. It just feels ignorant to me, okay? Now, the thing is, the Steam Deck has solved that for me. Absolutely solved it. The fact that the deck is portable means I don't need to fight with people to get the use of TVs within the house. Now, yeah, like I said, I could have gone to a different room, but here, I just think that's ignorant, and it's not something that I want to do. With the deck, I can quite easily sit in bed with my wife while she's watching something on TV, and I can happily chew through hordes of monsters and vampire survivors. Hell, if I want to, I can hand her a PlayStation controller and we can both play fun multiplayer titles like Shredder's Revenge, Castle Crashers. There's so many more that are very easy just to really quickly jump in and play same screen multiplayer on. If I want to, I can even drop the deck into a dock and play it on the big TV if I wish. But that's not really my use case for this device, okay? Now, the deck just offers a layer of convenience for me that I don't get from regular consoles. Well, I mean, apart from the Switch, but the Switch is really starting to show its age now, and if I want to play Switch games, I can do that on the deck anyway, but we'll touch on emulation later. Now, the thing about me is I'm the type of guy who always in my head feels like I've got more time to game than I actually do. And when something like the PlayStation 5 was announced, I was all in, and I got the PlayStation 5 on launch. And ultimately my PlayStation 5 has essentially sat gathering dust under my TV. Now, about 6 months after buying that, I also got myself an Xbox because I thought, you know what? This Game Pass, I'll probably play a lot more games, and both of these devices now sit underneath my TV as expensive paperweights. Yes, my kids do tend to use the consoles a little bit more than me, because I seem to not use them at all, but the thing is, they cost a lot of money, and they've sat there gathering dust. The thing is, the Steam Deck has changed all of that for me. Because now what I'm able to do is I am able to use remote play on the Steam Deck in a way that I can't explain. The developers of Chiaki, they've somehow worked some kind of black magic, right? So those that don't know, Chiaki is the client that allows you to remote play your PlayStation on Steam Deck. Now, if you've got a mobile phone, you've probably downloaded the Remote Play app for your Steam Deck. Not for your Steam Deck, for your PlayStation. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, I've always had issues with it. Whether it be buffering, whether it be micro lagging, there's just certain games I could not play. I could play slow pace games, but I couldn't play games like racing games, action games, fighting games. Somehow, through some magical witchcraft, I'm able to remote play the PlayStation 5 on my Steam Deck, and it genuinely feels like I'm playing on native hardware. I can play games like Spider-Man, I can play games like Gran Turismo, I can play games like GTA. There's no noticeable input lag. I don't seem to get any drops on my stream. Everything just seems to work. Now, I don't know if that's the Steam Deck, I don't know if that is the programming of the app, I don't know what it is, but this has allowed me to reclaim usage of my consoles that have sat there unloved. Okay, now when it comes to the Xbox, you have the ability to cloud play when it comes to your Game Pass games, but for me, I was never really happy with the quality of that stream, so I installed something called Greenlight onto my Steam Deck. And what this allows me to do is it allows me to remote play locally on my home network my Xbox that sits downstairs. So what I now do is I download the games I want from Game Pass onto my Xbox, and then I use Greenlight to remote play on my home network. I found that not only is the quality of the footage better on screen, there is also no noticeable input lag whatsoever. Again, it feels like I'm playing on native hardware. So the Steam Deck, as well as being its own device, essentially has become a PlayStation Portable and an Xbox Portable for me as well, which when purchasing it was something that I hoped. I just didn't realise it would deliver such a great experience playing remotely on other consoles. Now, like I say, the Steam Deck can play a lot of these games. You can do things like get Spider-Man for the Steam Deck and it will run fantastically. But obviously, it's not going to run quite as well as it will on a PlayStation 5. So the fact that I can remote play that if I want to means that I can get a higher fidelity console experience, graphically speaking, on a handheld that maybe I would have to tweak the settings down a little bit to get it to perform as well on the Steam Deck itself. However, that is not to dump on the performance of the Steam Deck, because when playing games natively, it performs absolutely fantastic. Now, you've possibly seen things said about the Steam Deck's catalogue where only so many games on Steam are Steam Deck verified and not everything you want to play will play. Well, I'm here to tell you that I feel like that's slightly exaggerated, because while there's a specific number of games that are Deck verified, now just to be clear, what Deck verified essentially means is it's flawless, you'll have no issues on Deck, right? Now, if you've got anything at all, you will not get that Deck verified status, okay? So there's games sitting that are unverified and people think, oh, that means they don't work. But it can be something as simple as you have to type your name in at one point using an on-screen keyboard, or some people find the text slightly hard to read, right? That can be enough to not get you Deck verified status, okay? Personally, I have not come across a game from my own personal collection that I would want to play that I can't play on Steam Deck, okay? Now, you are able to install things like plugins, and there's a specific plugin that will take you to what's called the Proton database, right? When you load your game on the splash screen, it will literally tell you in the top corner of the screen what grade that game's got, whether it be platinum, gold, whatever, right? And if your game needs anything specific to work, you can click that and it will show you the exact setup that you need. Now, for console players, that can sound a little bit off-putting. Wait, I have to change something? Well, it's literally as simple as clicking a cog and you can go in and change something called the Proton version that the game will load using. Now, Proton is basically Valve's or Linux's way of playing nice with Windows, basically. So these games are made for Windows, and what Proton does, it essentially allows Linux to understand the Windows language. Okay, so by simply changing the version of Proton the game is going to boot on, you will take games that will not load on the standard version, simply click a button, change it, bang, your game will load and it will play absolutely no issues whatsoever. Now to me, I find that great, because the Steam Deck punches well above its weight. You would not expect it to be able to play games as well as it does, and play demanding games as well as it does. And to be honest, that's a testament to the programming of this thing. It's a little bit like Apple when it comes to phones. When you have your software absolutely dialed in, things just work, you know, they just work so much better, you know. So for me, I feel like that's another reason why the Steam Deck has become one of my go-to devices. It is my go-to device. It's just given me access to such a wide variety of games that I'm able to just play while I'm being a lazy bugger, lying in my bed, and I can happily play away and enjoy what I'm doing. Now, the final thing that really is another string in the Steam Deck's bow, and to be honest, it's something that I've used less than I thought I was going to, but it's emulation. Now, the Steam Deck can emulate from the Nintendo NES all the way up to the PlayStation 3 and Switch. Spoke about it at the start, play Switch no problem at all. When it comes to things like PlayStation 3, it's not as dialed in as something like one generation below that, but any PlayStation 3 games I've tried to play, I've been able to play without issue. But I've only really specifically tried to play a couple of PlayStation 3 games. I just want to throw that out there. Now, I'm a huge fan of a game called Disgaea. I actually have another channel that's dedicated to a mobile game called Disgaea RPG. But when it comes to Disgaea, despite owning Disgaea on everything from the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, my PlayStation Vita, I want all of my games on the one console. And NIS, the publisher, they now sell Disgaea on Steam. However, for some reason, they only sell 5 out of the 7 Disgaea titles. So there's a title called Disgaea D2, and there's also a title called Disgaea 3. Those are not available on Steam. However, they are available on both PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 3. D2 on PlayStation 3, Disgaea 3 on PlayStation 3 and Vita. Now, using something called EmuDeck, which is essentially a package loader that will take all of your popular emulators you might want to use, it will package it all nicely and install it into your Steam Deck. It'll also use, I forget what it's called, but it's like a ROM manager type thing where it will download art for everything. But using this, I've got all these emulators that I want in my device now, and I've installed or loaded Disgaea 3 for my PlayStation Vita, and I've also installed Disgaea D2 for the PlayStation 3, and these run absolutely flawless on my Steam Deck, which means I've been able to get all of the games from that collection on this one device, and I can play them absolutely no problems at all. Now, I have used some other games, just to be clear. I've played games like Def Jam Vendetta, I've played games on the GameCube, Mario Kart, Mario Double Dash, sorry, also played Zelda, Wind Waker. All of these games run absolutely flawlessly on the deck. So when it comes down to emulation, I feel like this device is absolutely fantastic. It's just, it plays the current games so well, I've just found myself not as inclined to go back into the past as I once was. However, that's one thing about this. It's something that if in a year or two's time I decide I want to do, those catalogues aren't going to become any harder to emulate, so I know the Steam Deck can perform admirably and let me play those games at my leisure. Now, I don't want to just beat on about the positives behind the Steam Deck. There is a couple of negatives that I am going to mention. First off, I don't really class this as a truly portable device. Let me just explain what I mean by that. A truly portable device to me is something like a mobile phone, a Nintendo DS, a Vita, something that you could quite easily slip into your pocket and you could play on the go. The Steam Deck is big, right? However, it's comfortable, okay? It is comfortable, and ergonomically speaking, it is very good to hold. However, it's not easy to transport. You're gonna have to put it into a bag, okay? Not only that, it doesn't have the greatest battery life in the world. And if you're someone who was going to take it on the go, you are gonna have to get yourself something like a battery pack, okay? Now, to me, that's not a deal breaker because, I'll be honest, I'm never going to take this thing out the house. This is for me to play at home, right? It's literally just because trying to get time to play on TVs and things like that just isn't going to happen for me. So I'm always close to an outlet and I can have my Steam Deck plugged in. And you don't have to worry about it burning the battery because it uses like pass-through power. So when you've reached capacity on your battery, you're not going to constantly be charging the battery cell. It literally draws power directly from your outlet to power the device. So you don't have to worry about overcharging or degrading your battery. So for me, that is 100% not a deal breaker. The other slightly negative thing about the Steam Deck would be the quality of the screen. Now, picture quality wise, it's fine. I would say the colours lack a lot of punch, however. If you've been used to using something like an OLED switch or even just staring at your mobile phone, you will notice a lack of punch in the colours, okay? Now, luckily, and to be honest, this was an absolute godsend, there is a plugin store called Decky. Once you've installed Decky, you can install a plugin called Vibrant, and when you use that, although this might sound sacrilegious to some people, if you simply turn up the saturation by about 20-30 points, you will see such a massive improvement in your Steam Deck screen that you will wonder why Valve never tuned it like this straight out the box. I mean, it looks fantastic. I'm not going to say it looks like OLED quality, but it's not that far off of it, to be honest, when it comes to the punch of the colours. And it doesn't look oversaturated in the way that having your colours turned up too much on your TV. It looks enjoyable, it looks good, and it's something that I recommend every owner of the Steam Deck actually do, because honestly, the difference when you've got Decky running and you've turned vibrancy on, it just looks absolutely fantastic, and is something that you should definitely do. But all in, this is basically why I think the Steam Deck is a must purchase for someone like me. If you're someone who feels like your time is a premium, if you have a busy household, if life just keeps getting in the way of what you want to do, then the Steam Deck is something that is definitely for you. You will find it gives you more freedom to game, it gives you more flexibility to game, you can do it where you want, when you want, how you want, and this little thing will just perform. It will perform so well, and in my opinion, the cost to performance is exceptional. It's absolutely exceptional. If you need to, go in at entry level, get yourself the 64 gig Steam Deck. I had the 256, however I opened it up and I swapped my internal memory to a 1 terabyte, which was simple. It was so simple to do, and maybe I'll make a video talking about that, because you know there is tech videos out there, but dummies sometimes like to see dummies doing these things, so maybe I'll do that. But you don't have to get the higher models. You can get yourself a nice, relatively cheap SSD, very easy to swap, and you can expand your storage that way. So do not let cost be a barrier for entry on this device. I feel like it is something that you will get value from, and again, it's just something that I highly recommend. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.